Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because, honestly, we're looking at something that's going to fundamentally change how you see the entire world around you. We're breaking down the structural organization in nature, the literal blueprint of life itself. Okay, let's dive right into this because the hidden architecture inside plants and animals is, well, it's nothing short of a biological masterclass.
So, let me ask you something. What does that wooden table sitting in your house have in common with the blood pumping through your veins? On the surface, absolutely nothing, right? I mean, one is a hard, stationary piece of furniture, and the other is a warm, moving liquid keeping you alive. But, as we're going to see in this explainer, if you look closely enough, they both follow the exact same master blueprint of structural organization. To understand how, I want you to play everyday biology detective with me.
To kind of demystify this whole concept, let's look at a really simple analogy. Think of a massive school building. It isn't just, one giant block of concrete dropped from the sky. It's built from individual bricks. Those bricks are joined together to make walls. The walls then form distinct classrooms, and finally, all of those classrooms together create the entire functioning school building. Well, in nature, living things follow this exact same pattern. It's basically how nature organizes basic units into these beautifully complex systems to ensure every single task is done perfectly.
Let's move to and see how this builds in the biological world. The journey starts way down at the microscopic level with the cell. When a group of similar cells join together to perform a specific job, they form a tissue. Then, when different types of tissues work together as a single unit, they create an organ. Take it a step further. Several organs working in perfect harmony form an organ system, which eventually makes up the complete living organism. It's just an incredibly elegant, scalable hierarchy.
Section 1. Divergent Designs. Plants versus Animals.
Now, while all living things follow that basic hierarchy we just talked about, nature builds for survival, right? And survival looks vastly different depending on what kind of organism you are. Let's contrast these two blueprints. Animals need to move around to find food, escape predators, the whole shebang. So their tissues are organized for mobility, flexibility, and incredibly quick responses. Plants, on the other hand, are completely stationary. Their structural organization has to be designed for immense physical support and the long-distance transport of water and nutrients against gravity. It's literally the difference between building a fast sports car and building a towering skyscraper.
Section 2. Everyday Biology Detective. Let's look closely at some totally mundane, everyday objects to uncover the spectacular biological machinery hiding right in front of us, starting with the very room you might be sitting in right now. What do you really see when you look at a piece of wood, like a table or a chair? Most of us just see, furniture. But look through a scientific lens, and that wood is actually a frozen snapshot of an ancient, brilliant plumbing system.
See, that wooden table was once part of a plant's vascular tissue system. Specifically, it's made of xylem tissue. Xylem consists of dead, hollowed-out cells that once transported water all the way up from the roots to the leaves. You are quite literally resting your coffee cup on the dead, rigid pipes of a plant's plumbing system. How wild is that?
The clues are everywhere in our kitchens and gardens. Just look at these everyday examples. If you hold a leaf up to the light, those veins you see, that's the plant's version of a circulatory system, vascular bundles of xylem and phloem. Peeling a potato? You're actually stripping away the plant's epidermal tissue, which is designed to prevent water loss. Slicing an onion? That bulb is actually a modified underground bud. It's a whole organ storing energy in the form of carbs. And when you peel an orange, you're interacting with the epidermal zest, the vascular white stringy bits, and the specialized storage cells inside. It's an absolute masterclass in multiple tissue systems forming a single organ.
Now, here's a fun sensory question for you. Think about what gives a nut its really loud crunch when you bite into it, or a pear its slightly sandy grit when you chew it. It's a very distinct texture, right? Well, it's definitely no accident.
That specific texture actually comes from Sclerenchyma and scleroids. These are highly thickened, simple tissues whose primary job is providing extreme structural support and protection. The hard shell of a walnut uses Sclerenchyma to fiercely protect the seed inside. And that grit in your pear? Those are scleroids, often called stone cells, and they provide structural protection to the fruit so it isn't too easily crushed.
And this brilliantly illustrates the overall difference in plant support systems. I mean, if you look at a young green climber bending in the wind without breaking, that's Collenchyma tissue at work. It provides flexible support. But a massive tree trunk that just refuses to budge, that relies on Sclerenchyma. This tissue is actually dead at maturity and contains a super tough substance called lignin to provide permanent, rigid strength.
Okay, let's shift gears from plants to animals for a second.
And I want to start with a fact that absolutely blows people's minds. Ready? Blood is actually a tissue. I know, we tend to think of tissues as solid things, like a bicep muscle, but scientifically speaking, a tissue is just a group of specialized cells working together.
So, that blood sample at a clinic, it's a fluid connective tissue. You've got red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets all suspended in plasma. Or think about dinner. If you've ever eaten a chicken drumstick, the meat and those tough white bands are muscle tissue and dense connective tendons working together. Even right now, if you just pinch your arm, you're grabbing your skin. That's a protective organ made of epithelial tissue that keeps your internal fluids in and germs out.
Try this quick interactive experiment with me. Touch the tip of your nose and then press firmly on your forearm. Notice the difference? One wiggles around and is highly flexible, while the other is rock hard. So why is that?
The answer lies in their specific connective tissues. Your nose is structured by cartilage, which is a flexible, specialized connective tissue. Your forearm, on the other hand, is structured by bone, which is a hard, specialized connective tissue. They both provide the absolutely crucial structural framework for the animal body, but they're uniquely tailored to their specific locations and functions.
Now think about what happens when you step into a cold 18 degrees Celsius room and get goosebumps. Or when you just unconsciously blink your eyes. These aren't just random twitches. They are spectacular examples of high-speed tissue communication.
In animals, nervous tissue basically acts as the electrical wiring. It senses a stimulus, like that cold air or a dry eyeball, and instantly fires a signal to your muscular tissue. Tiny muscles called erector pili pull your arm hair upright to trap heat, or the muscles in your eyelid contract to sweep moisture across your eye. It's an instantaneous observation-explanation loop built right into your tissues.
Let's step up the hierarchy for a second, to the organ system level. 120/80 millimeters of mercury. This classic blood pressure reading shows the heart working as an organ within the circulatory system. But what's truly amazing is how these different systems integrate. Like, when you're running, your heart rate and your breathing increase simultaneously. The circulatory and respiratory systems are perfectly integrating to deliver oxygen to your muscle tissues and clear out carbon dioxide waste.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's solve one final biological mystery. Imagine you're walking through a park, and you see a tree where the bark has been accidentally scraped away. Oozing out of the wound is this sticky, sweet liquid. What exactly are you looking at there?
Believe it or not, you are watching the plant's food delivery system bleed. This is the phloem in action. Phloem is a complex permanent tissue that transports food, specifically sucrose, from the leaves where it's made down to the rest of the plant organ system. It works right alongside that dead xylem tissue we talked about earlier to keep the entire massive organism alive.
Section 3. Engineering the future.
So, the crucial point is, why does knowing the difference between xylem, phloem, bone, and cartilage actually matter? Because this blueprint is literally the foundation for tomorrow's innovations. The real-world applications are massive. In regenerative medicine, scientists are using this knowledge to grow new tissues in labs to heal patients, bridging the gap between a single cell and full physiology. In agricultural science, understanding plant tissues like vascular bundles allows us to engineer crops that can survive 40-degree droughts to feed a changing world. And for the ambitious students listening, especially those aiming for competitive exams like NEET, BITSAT, ISER, or NEST, mastering these microscopic details, like the exact difference between striated and non-striated muscles, well, that's your ticket to advancing modern bioengineering.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We've seen how nature organizes itself to repair, protect, and thrive. If nature's master blueprint can build a towering, immovable redwood tree or a sprinting cheetah, starting from just a single microscopic cell, what innovations will you build with this knowledge? Thank you so much for exploring the architecture of life with me on this explainer. Until next time, keep observing the brilliant machinery hiding in plain sight.